All right. Here we go, back again on the other side of the coin. All right, welcome back to the other side of the coin, ladies and gentlemen. We are back again with another live stream. It's been a while, obviously, the international break. It's always going to be like that, where there's not much that's happening, and to be honest, there's not many interesting international matches either. So very difficult to come and do some live stream. But as the weekend is upon us, well, it's definitely weekend for me at the moment. Saturday morning, lovely Saturday morning, and you best believe there's going to be a lot of live streams coming your way, a lot of content and up-to-date Chelsea news, and of course discussions and conversations with you guys. Good to see each and every one of you guys. Look, do you know what? Not that long ago, I was dismissing all of these, charges. Well, we're not being charged for anything as yet. We're getting accused, or we're being. There are certain things that are getting leaked. You best believe. Look, my thoughts about this whole situation a few weeks ago was, nah, there's no way we're going to get done for any of this down the track. But as the news is materializing every single moment, every single day, the more I think about it, I think the more I feel we are potentially going to get done. I think so. It may not be this season. It may not even be next season. We'll see. Because Manchester City, they've been charged with 115 points, 115 charges last season. And the matter is still ongoing. So, these sort of things can take time, but this is what we're going to talk about. What are we actually getting accused about? Obviously, it's got to do with financial fair play, illegal payments, different means of raising funds, all sorts of things. As I said, illegal payments in the likes of commissions given to agents, bonus payments given to players, coaches, and all of that kind of stuff. Look, in my last video in regards to this, I said that not a single Premier League club is a saint when it comes to this matter. Not a single club. If the Premier League actually wanted to conduct a forensic style of accounting investigation, I'm pretty certain a lot of these Premier League teams, in fact, probably all of them, are going to get done. There are clubs in the Championship and even below, they're getting done for financial fair play because they can't seem to be within the rules and regulation of sustainable profitability. And this is why Everton has been done. Everton's got a 10-point deduction. And this Everton situation has actually been running 2 years ago. The whole investigation into Everton's accounts were taking place 2 years ago. And it's finally coming to fruition now. Now, there's talks about us and Manchester City potentially getting relegated. That, for me, is too far-fetched. All of that is far-fetched for me. I don't think Manchester City nor Chelsea are getting relegated. But all I'm saying is it's not something that hasn't happened. Like, you look at what happened to Juventus. I know what they did is far more sinister. But our track record, we've been banned before. We have been banned before. So I think as a fan base, we need to realize that something's going to happen. We can't just sit here. I see a lot of people on social media trying to drum up this positive vibe around this whole situation. We need to accept and understand that something's going to happen to us. Something will happen to us. I personally believe we're not going to get relegated, but we will. I feel we will get some points deduction. I hope we don't. I hope we end up getting some fines or a ban in terms of transfer window, but there is something's going to happen. in my opinion. And I think as a fan base, we just need to accept that, because the worst thing you can do is pretend nothing's going to happen. And then when it does happen, you're going to get shocked. I just hope it doesn't happen to us this season, because this season, we've got to win. We've got to win games. Do you know what I mean? We're not safe by no means. We have to win games. So I hope next season. But ladies and gentlemen, big up to each and every one of you guys. Big up to each and every one of you guys. Thanks for joining in from wherever you guys have joined in. It's been a little while since we've done a live stream, so good to see you all. Big up to Abrar. Big up to Cascade, Osareme, Daniel Knight, Terry, Adri, Rain, Pepita, Dexter, Royston. I'm going to take a lot of your comments all throughout, but we're going to go through many things in this particular stream, starting from what has happened to Everton, a particular clip that I got from TalkSport, which is, I think, very important. We need to see this because it's going to give us a lot more, context around the whole matter. Then we're going to see what are some of the things that Chelsea's been accused of. And these are just some initial things. And the good thing, I suppose, for us is that our owners have actually come out openly and displayed some of these abnormalities in the books. One of the things that our owners probably should have done when they bought the club, they should have looked through the books a little bit carefully prior to buying it. But I guess at that point, they were just thinking about just acquiring the club and they'll deal with the situation later on. I think this is probably one of the biggest factors why our owners got rid of everyone from the previous regime. I think it's starting to make sense now. They didn't want to have anyone from the previous regime connected to any of these issues. So they can actually now say, look, everyone from that era is gone. We're not culpable for it. However, Chelsea in itself is an independent body. So Chelsea is somewhat culpable, right? Unfortunately. So what our new owners are doing is they're coming forward and stating, look, these are some of the issues we found in our books. We're reporting to you right now. So that's one good thing that our owners are doing. They're being proactive about this whole situation. So hopefully from that perspective, we don't get done too much, and that the Premier League looks at the situation that, you know what? One, they weren't the owners back then running the show. And two, they're now coming out openly and saying all of these things and helping the Premier League eradicate this situation. So hopefully from that perspective, we get some leeway. But a lot of people out there are saying that that doesn't mean that Chelsea are unculpable. They've still done mistakes. They've still committed, the wrongdoings in terms of financial fair play. And then it's not just on us. There'll be other clubs, the likes of Liverpool, Arsenal, and everyone else. They'll ensure that clubs like Chelsea and Manchester City get the right judgment given to them. So, like the way Everton is getting the 10 points deduction, there are so many clubs lining up to, get compensation out of this situation. Your Leicesters, your Burnleys, and many other clubs, because they feel had Everton, because Everton, these issues have been running for the past 2 years. So had Everton been done back then those clubs are probably going to be safe because Everton would have taken that position. So it becomes a mess. Other clubs will be very focused. It's not just about us, Chelsea fan base, and the matter is just for other clubs are watching this situation and they're ready to pounce. They want to make sure a heavy penalty is imposed because the Premier League is going to be stuck. If they give any of Chelsea or Manchester City a bit of a leeway, other clubs be like, well, we're going to do this again. We're going to do, because it's a precedent. So we have to be careful. All right, let's check up some of the latest. I'll take care of this super chat first up. Anthony, thank you so much for the super chat. If the Premier League are going to punish you guys and Everton, then they need to punish Manchester City for the 115 breaches of financial fair play. Look, I've got no doubts they're going to get punished. I know Manchester City are trying to prolong the situation. The issue with Manchester City is they're not even coming out in open and admitting that they've made mistakes. They're adamant that they've not made mistakes. How can you have 115 breaches and categorically deny every single one of them? They're going to get done. Where there is some smoke, there has to be some fire. It's 100% common sense. And in the Premier League, as I said, not a single Premier League club is a saint. When you're dealing with millions and billions, there's going to be some form of fancy accounting. You best believe there will be. Football clubs are not a very profitable organization, or else everyone would be owning a football club. Football club is difficult to be profitable. There's a lot of fees. There's a lot of expenses. Players with exorbitant wages. Generally, these wealthy people, they buy football club to evade taxes because they've got, like, for example, Roman Abramovich. We all know he loved Chelsea Football Club. No doubts about that. But one of the biggest reasons for Roman Abramovich to buy Chelsea is he could show losses. He could evade, he could hide, funds through the means of Chelsea. Funds that he's using elsewhere. No one buys a football club because I hope our current owners, they've got different ideas. They're really trying to, get different sponsorship, promote Chelsea in X, Y. This is why we go to, the United States for preseason and have all of these matches. This is why our owners are trying to promote, when Todd Bowley and Iqbali came in, they were trying to do that All-Star Premier League. Remember where they were trying to do this sort of like in the NBA, like the All-Stars, in the preseason, the best of, I don't know, the north side of the UK versus the south side of UK, the best players. They're trying to do all of this stuff to increase revenue. Yes, Super League is another one. So in general, football clubs, it's very difficult to be profitable. So you've got to come up with some fancy accounting. Manchester City will get done. They will get done. They're 100% they'll get done. Coming up with fake sponsorships, a whole heap of under the carpet, under the table, cheeky payments to players, bonus payments. 100% they'll get done. 100% they'll get done. But so will Chelsea, I believe. So will Chelsea. The question is, how much are we going to get done? That's the question. All right, let's check up some news now. Let's check up some news. Okay, so let me just bring this up. We'll go from the top. Let's have a look at what's happening with Everton at the moment, ladies and gentlemen. So this is what's going on with Everton. Let me just get rid of that. There you go. All right. If any of you guys are unaware, this is what's happened to Everton in the last 4 or 5 hours. Breaking: Everton deducted 10 points by the Premier League. Sean Dyche's side will drop from 14th to 19th after punishment for breaching the Premier League's profit and sustainability guidelines. Very important to realize what Everton are getting done for. Everton are getting done for profit and sustainability guidelines, which means they broke the financial fair play rule of 3 years running losses. You can't have that. And this started probably 2 years ago. I remember seeing the first article about this about 2 years ago. And they've now finally got done because all of their books must have been completely investigated, and the Premier League has come to a conclusion that they've not been sustainable. They've been making losses, and they're going to have to take a hit. And Everton, we know they've made some poor decisions in the transfer market in recent times. They bought some players that just didn't work out, and they bought them for a lot of money. And then compound that with poor results in the Premier League, which obviously hasn't helped them either. Paying high wages as well to some of these players that have failed miserably. So they're in trouble. They're in trouble. The punishment, which means that Everton will immediately drop from 14th position to second bottom in the table on goal difference, was imposed by an independent commission after a disciplinary hearing took place last month. So I guess these are some of the reasons why, big reasons why Chelsea, have gone on a spree last summer to get rid of a lot of players. And I think we're probably in the January market, we're probably going to look to sell a lot more players. I think so. Because we are also in danger of breaking financial fair play rules and regulation in terms of sustainable profitability. Everton docked 10 points for breach of Premier League profit and sustainability rules. This is the important thing. This is the important thing. We have to be very careful about that. And this is one of the big reasons that we sold a lot of players last summer, especially the academy players that make pure profit. Especially the academy players. Key parts of Everton's statements: every club will now put enormous pressure on the outcome of the Premier League case against Manchester City and potentially Chelsea. Buckle up, it's going to be media frenzy. This is coming from Chelsea Dodgers. The club will also monitor with great interest the decisions made in any other cases concerning the Premier League's profit and sustainability rules. Everton cannot comment on this matter any further until the appeal process has concluded. So obviously Everton has appealed, but Everton is one of the clubs that's going to ensure Chelsea and Man City get done. And that's just one club. There'll be other clubs that's going to be watching this whole situation, and they're going to want Chelsea and Manchester City to be done. This is what I'm saying, ladies and gentlemen. It's great to have a positive sense. Sure, it's great to be positive that, no, nothing's going to happen to Chelsea. No way. You're talking BS. You know, what are we even charged for? Yeah, we're not charged at the moment. We're not charged at the moment, but there is a serious case against us. There is a serious case against us, and even more serious for Manchester City. It's just a matter of what is going to happen to us. What is actually going to happen to us. All right, let's check this out. Let me just bring that up again. I'm going to share the sound on it. I don't know if you guys have seen this, but this particular video took place a few days ago, and it brings a lot of context. This actually brings a lot of context. So I want you guys to have a look at this, all right? I think this will paint a very, very good picture. Big up to each and every one of you guys. Nearly 200 live at the moment. Smash the like button, guys. Let's get those likes up to well over 150 straight away. As I said, I will take your comments very, very soon. Let's go through all the news, and then we'll have a good discussion about the whole situation. If any of you guys have missed out on watching this particular video from TalkSport, where Simon Jordan actually paints the picture that we as a fan base need to understand. So check this out. If you haven't seen it, we'll watch it together.
The horizon, though, Danny, for Chelsea, because Chelsea could be in a bit a soapy bubble. Leaked files have revealed a host of secret payments that may have breached football rules. This is including financial fair play, while Chelsea were under the ownership of Roman Abramovich. Now, what do we know about these files? The leaked files reveal payments worth tens of millions of pounds over a decade, routed through offshore vehicles belonging to Abramovich. Beneficiaries of the payments offshore appear to include the agent of the star player Eden Hazard, an associate of the title-winning manager Antonio Conte, and Chelsea Football Club officials. Other payments appear to have been connected to the purchase of the players of Willian and Samuel Eto'o. Simon, what's your take on this? It would appear that Chelsea, could they, be heading for a points deduction
Possibly.
if this is all proven?
Possibly. I mean, these things would have come out of probably the most forensically evaluated purchase of a football club since the conception of buying football clubs was ever put into play, because you've got a football club that was ordered to be sold by the government and subsequently the proceeds held by the government. So these sort of things have found the light of day. Some of it was priced into the thinking of Chelsea by making provisions because Todd Boehly himself declared them as areas of concern. Not because he's magnanimous and not because he's the patron saint of all good things in football, because he knew that there was enough scrutiny on this transaction and may have wanted to visit it on some of the cost implications of buying the club in the first place.
Well, you're absolutely right. I mean, the Boehly regime voluntarily reported that incomplete financial information had been submitted during Abramovich's tenure.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why people would be surprised by that. I mean, the regime of Roman Abramovich broke the mold of football, didn't have a lot of economic sense behind it, and was done for a certain reason. Whether that was because he wanted to give himself the world's most expensive life insurance policy, or whatever the motivations that Roman Abramovich had.
This point, just listen to this point. This, as a fan base, honestly, we need to get smarter. We need to educate ourselves. This point that Simon Jordan makes about Roman Abramovich as to why he bought and what he was doing, we need to understand. Like, he was willy-nilly spending and injecting money into the club. Sooner or later, it was going to be found out that none of those accounting information made sense. Do you know what I mean? Like, you could 100% believe that from a financial fair play point of view, there was no way during the Roman Abramovich era that we would have met those rules and regulations properly. Fancy accounting has been done in order for us to evade those situations. But as I said,
they weren't necessarily based upon choice.
Incomplete financial information had been submitted during Abramovich's tenure.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why people would be surprised by that. I mean, the regime of Roman Abramovich broke the mold of football, didn't have a lot of economic sense behind it, and was done for a certain reason. Whether that was because he wanted to give himself the world's most expensive life insurance policy, or whatever the motivations that Roman Abramovich had, they weren't necessarily based upon financial well-being, were they? Because if you look at the spend pattern against what Chelsea returned, there's $1.5 billion worth of difference between what he bought it and what he actually invested and what he got back, or what he would have gotten back, or the scenario that we saw. Look, the bottom line is that they have to face the music. Now, people will say, is that not dissimilar to Manchester City's current and consistent ownership? So the answer is no, it's not, because there is a situation where Todd Boehly is inheriting the deeds of a different party, but does that mean that the consequences of the son won't be visited on the new father, or the other way around? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
And
I know. Is that fair? Why should the Boehly regime be punished for something the Abramovich regime overlooked or oversaw?
Tough luck. You bought a business. That business has a going concern mentality. It wasn't repackaged, bundled down to the bottom of the pyramid like Rangers were.
Going concern mentality. That's a big point. Try and understand that.
And came back as a new entity with all the sins of the fathers before, not visited on the new son. So in this instance, it's the price on the ticket.
But you wouldn't be saying tough luck if you were part of the Boehly regime.
I would. Well,
he knew about it.
Well, he knew about it. So the point is, and I would suspect that...
But these are added. These are added to what they know.
And they volunteered it, which is not the same as what Man City have done. So if people are going to make the comparison between what Manchester City are being accused of and what Chelsea are being accused of, in the Boehly regime, he's volunteered the information. But then you go back to the original culprits, insofar as they've been found guilty of anything right now, then of course Chelsea have to have the same consequences. I don't think it's 115 charges, is it? But notwithstanding that, they have to be judged by the same yardstick. It's irrelevant the ownership was changed.
Are we always at the same conundrum? The conundrum, though, at the end of these allegations, whether it be City, Chelsea, Everton, whoever else it is, when you look at punishment, it's always going to be financial because
no,
no,
not now.
No,
I'm not
Well,
saying
someone
they're
needs to
going
be,
to give somebody points, and they're going to give
because that
somebody
makes
points
them.
soon.
Then it creates a problem for the product.
Well, that's just the nature of the beast. It depends on how much teeth you want to have. If you want to have teeth to stop people from doing things, you need to have proper consequences. Because if the consequences for financial mismanagement is some financial consequences, it's almost laughable. Because the bottom line is if you didn't care about the finances in the first place, you ain't going to care about the
So
fine.
who, in your opinion, would be the first? Who do you think is going to be the first one to take the brunt of a points deduction, considering what you know already? Because that's
I
going to
think
be
Everton.
huge. Everton.
Hmm.
Because that could change the whole dynamic of the relegation battle, couldn't it?
If they're found guilty. If they're found guilty.
Well, they're guilty of losing 350 million quid. No doubt about that. It's whether they're allowed to make the adjustments that they've made and change the valuation of players, because their valuation of players and the loss of revenue, the loss of valuation is far greater than any other football club in the Premier League, and it excuses transactions like paying people like Cenk Tosun, £100,000 a week or £200,000 a week when he's not worth it. Those were bad business decisions that they made. But the bottom line is I do think that there'll be a point sanction. I don't think it'll be 12 points, but I wouldn't be surprised if Everton got a point sanction. I wouldn't be surprised if Man City. There's not going to be no retrospective action, and all these football clubs running up and down, jumping up and down like lunatics, suggesting that they've got a case outside of the confines of the law. Don't talk rubbish outside of the confines of the industry, because you're the ones that signed up to the rules. The rules are, if somebody breaches that has a behaviour which breaches the governance, these are the consequences. You signed up to it. If you want to be able to adjudicate something in 6 months, change the rules so that everything happens in real time. But they don't change the rules because one day they might fall foul of them themselves.
If you're one of the beneficiaries of the offshore payments at Chelsea, are you beginning to sweat a bit?
I wouldn't have thought so.
No,
because it's Chelsea's responsibility as the employer to meet the tax obligations, not yours.
The agent of Eden Hazard's not getting a bit nervous.
Well, hopefully they'll all go.
An associate of Conte is not getting nervous. Some Chelsea officials are not getting nervous.
Listen, as I said to you, as an employer, it's the employer's liability, the responsibility to discharge the tax liabilities, not the employees.
Yeah.
So if somebody pays me, if I was an employee of a business and they pay me £100,000 and I receive £100,000, it's their job to discharge tax liability, not mine. They weren't self-employed people. Eden Hazard wasn't playing for Chelsea as a self-employed person.
Sure.
He was a contracted employee.
Yeah. Is it the same heat around Chelsea as there has been for City when it comes to alleged FFP breaches?
Well, we're talking about it, aren't we? And the fact of the matter is clearly that there hasn't been the same indications. This is, and I would wager you, with all due respect, this happens in lots of football clubs. Image right deals that were done once upon a time that were paying players overseas, and then they were getting non-recourse loans.
Happens in lots of football clubs.
Mechanisms.
HMRC went after all of them.
Well, they did. They closed those schemes down, but notwithstanding it, they still happened. And there's plenty. You've got the arguments about Conte and his. And sorry, not Conte, Mancini and the dual contract, one being paid for by one entity, another being paid for by Manchester City. All of these are the fruits of the same tree.
Yeah.
And Chelsea have clearly not had the same. The real attraction to Manchester City was the scale of the enormity of Manchester City's ownership model, and I suspect some resistance.
What would be the negative of financial fair play being tossed out the window and clubs being able to spend what they want?
What would be the backdrop of it?
Yeah.
You players would get more money, and football clubs would become more unsustainable, and the pyramid
Bad for
would
the
get
game.
worse. It's always been bad for the game. It's great to a point, but what do we need to see? Do we really need to see players getting paid £1 million a week as a staple diet because some lunatic entity that feels that they can use a football club as influence is prepared to pay that?
And you think that's where
we don't need it, do we?
Well,
we definitely don't need it.
If you look at the reality of the
Scotland
Championship,
does.
the Champions is a division that you don't really want to be in for either reason. You don't want to be in it because you want to get to the Premier League, but you don't want to be in it because you can't afford to be.
Yeah.
Because the actual implications of it, you get bugger all money from the broadcasters, and you get the whiff of the Premier League wages.
In a sentence, did Chelsea get hit with a points deduction?
I don't think so. I don't think so on this instance. No.
Okay. Investigations, though, are underway into the leaked files.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Look, I think it's very, very important to realize what Simon Jordan was saying there. Chelsea will be investigated. They will be investigated. He tends to think that there won't be any points deduction, and there may not be. I feel personally there probably will be. I think there probably will be, and there might be some financial fines as well. Now, I don't know whether it's going to be 10 points like Everton. I don't think so, but there may be something. And I don't even know if it's actually going to happen this season. I don't think it's going to happen this season. I truly hope it doesn't happen this season. This season, we're in the mess already at the moment, and we need to try and get back into Europe. I think the best case scenario for us will be nothing happens this season. And if it does even happen this season, we appeal and we prolong the situation a little bit, try and pick up as many points as possible so we can make it into the European positions, and then next season see what happens, where all of this goes. Do you know what I mean? So we've got Creed here saying, Miz, it's just the media looking for clicks. It's not, Creed, it's not. This is what I'm trying to say. There are certain things where the media will sensationalize the situation. And even in this matter, where they're saying relegation, I think relegation is probably off the books. No one's getting relegated. I saw a comment someone made that teams like Chelsea and Manchester City are far too important for the Premier League. Of course they are. Of course they are. The amount of TV rights, the revenues that these big clubs bring in, some of the biggest reasons why people watch the Premier League is because of Manchester City, because of Chelsea, and because of XYZ, right? So I don't think relegation is going to happen, but I just want to say, relegation has happened in other leagues in likes of Juventus. It all depends on how sinister the situation is. So we as a fan base, we need to understand that where there's some smoke, there's definitely fire. Now, I've seen other people say, oh, Roman did this prior to FFP. There were certain things that he did prior to FFP rules and regulation kicking in. No problems, yeah, of course. But when the rules and regulation did kick in, Roman was still in charge, and some of these, illegal payments, some of the ways to raise funds, they were still taking place. Let's have a look at the recent news that was happening a few days ago in regards to all of this. Let me just bring that up. So, yeah, we as a fan base, we need to understand how much of it is true. How much of it can we actually take as truth? So let me just see. There we go. Let's do that. All right. Obviously, Simon Jordan, if people are going to make comparison between what Manchester City are being accused of and what Chelsea are being accused of, the Todd Boehly regime has volunteered the information. And this is where I hope we get a bit of leeway. The fact that we've volunteered, I hope we get a bit of a leeway. So that's one thing. These are some of those accusations that were made against Chelsea a few days ago, right? If you had seen my last video, then you would have known. If not, we'll go through that again anyway. Exclusive: former Chelsea owner Roman Abramovich used offshore vehicles to fund tens of millions in football-related expenses that ought to have been paid by the club, leaked files suggest. So things that Chelsea needed to pay, things that Chelsea were bound to pay, expenses, tens of millions, were done offshore by Roman Abramovich. So this is what I say when it comes to that fancy style of doing accounts, somehow showing that, yeah, those expenses are covered by miscellaneous payments. So there's leaked reports, there's leaked files out there in regards to this now, that we did try to manipulate our accounts basically to get away, to be within the financial fair play rules and regulation. Chelsea faced fresh questions over how Abramovich funded the club after leaked files revealed a string of secret payments that may have breached the rules. The FA confirmed they're investigating, and sanctions include points deduction. This is coming from Guardian. Sanctions can include a points deduction, but can also include other sanctions such as a fine. It could either be or end up being neither. Does sound pretty severe though. So as I said, now you'll have at least Everton, who's going to be monitoring these situations with Manchester City and Everton very heavily. Because Everton will be like, well, you've given us a 10 points deduction, and these clubs have done, purposely in the open, has committed breaches where they've evaded expenses by offshore mechanisms. They're definitely going to be after us. They're definitely going to be after us. This was one of the issues. Hazard's agent reportedly wanted a sizable commission worth about 6 million. In March 2013, a company owned by Abramovich agreed to pay 7 million to a Dubai-based company related to sports, unclear if declared to FA. So these are some of the things. It's going to take a bit of time for them to investigate this. So this is why I think it's not going to happen this season, this points deduction. Next season, if there is a points deduction, that is. Files also suggest that Abramovich secretly bankrolled efforts to overturn the FFP rules through the courts, ultimately unsuccessfully. So there are some files that say that Abramovich battled these things in the courts, and they were unsuccessful as well. So there's a lot of things that's going against us at the moment on this particular matter. Now, these are the latest news in regards to what has happened today. Manchester City and Chelsea run the risk of relegation from Premier League after Everton's 10-point deduction set a powerful precedent, according to former financial advisor to the champions. As I said, I don't think we're going to get relegated. Like, that for me is crazy. I don't think anyone's getting relegated here, but I do feel there is going to be some points deduction, maybe. Relegation from the Premier League would look to be very real for both Manchester City and Chelsea should charges be proven in independent regulatory commission times sport. Once again, I don't think relegation is actually even a thought. If the independent commissions are willing to follow the Premier League guidelines, Chelsea or Manchester City could be hit with hugely crippling blow, which could completely wipe out any hope of staying in the top flight of English football. This is coming from Football London as well. So there's a lot of reporters reporting this, a lot of publications that are reporting this. But as I keep repeating, I don't think we're in any sort of situation where there's going to be relegation. I think relegation is too much. And as I said, new owners are coming forward and actually presenting all of this information. So we are trying to help the Premier League. We're trying to help the FA to do this investigation. We're trying to come clean. And this is the new owners. These aren't even... had Roman Abramovich still been in charge, I think we get relegated. I really do think we get relegated. Honestly, if Roman was still in charge, I think Chelsea... Look at what happened. Sanctions. We've been forced to sell the football club. We have to also understand the Premier League, they've got a history of not really liking us too much. We've been culpable previously. We've had a transfer ban previously, not because of financial fair play, but that was because I think tapping up kids, basically, giving them illegal contracts. And so we've been done before. So, our track record isn't the greatest when it comes to these sort of things. Manchester City's charges and allegations against Chelsea are both different from Everton's charges. There is no guarantee the two cases will be treated the same way. Now, David Ornstein says that for Everton, obviously, they're getting done for sustainable profitability rules, right? They've not been profitable over the last 3 seasons. We need to ensure that we don't make a loss. We need to make sure, because I think our books, and this is why we went through a massive, selling spree in the summer. And I still believe we're going to sell quite a few players in the January market as well. I think Chalobah is going to be sold. I think Ian Martin's going to be sold. And anyone else who might not be wanted probably will be sold. I hope Conor Gallagher doesn't get sold. I really like this player now. I hope he doesn't get sold. But I won't be surprised, because he's an academy player that's going to bring in pure profit. Our owners will do the level best to ensure that the books are balanced. I don't think we can afford to have one more season of loss, because then we're going to be in trouble of that sustainable profitability rule, which is what Everton got done for. In the case of Manchester City and potentially Chelsea compared to Everton, it's comparing apples and pears. They're just not the same. Well, Manchester City's one, they have got 115 breaches. They should be done heavily. You don't get 115 issues being charged against you, and not one of them, be successful. 100% they're going to get done. 100% they're going to get done. There are suggestions that more clubs were sailing close to the wind and potentially broke the finance rules. And as Simon Jordan was saying, yeah, Chelsea, Manchester City, Everton, these aren't the only clubs that are in trouble for this. There are more clubs that make all of these illegal payments to agents, players. The Premier League should take the Premier League should take the opportunity to investigate all of these clubs. I think they're all culpable. All right, let's check out some of your comments, ladies and gentlemen. Let me know what you think about all of this stuff, what your understanding is, what you think is potentially could happen to Chelsea Football Club. Let's have a discussion right now. All right, Haj is in the house. Good to see you. Over 210 people live right now, ladies and gentlemen. Let's bump those likes up to 200. If you're here for the first time as well, subscribe. Make sure you guys subscribe, okay? Very, very close to 30,000 subscribers. Very close. So make sure you subscribe and let's get to 30,000. Haj, Ms. Geopolitics is involved. City state-owned. We aren't. They have an advantage of Abu Dhabi picking up the phone to our Prime Minister here in the UK to put in a good word in City equals different level of power. That has some truth behind it. I'm not even going to lie. I think Haj has got some truth around that. At the end of the day, it all comes down to who knows who. Don't be surprised if City does get away with all of it. But, as I said, teams like Everton and other teams, they'll be monitoring this situation now. And they won't let it get away. They really won't let it get away. If City end up having no penalties after 115 breaches laid upon them, there'll be a lot of clubs that's going to be very upset. But look how long it's taken City. Look how long it's taken, that particular case is lingering around. It's been more than 12 months now. So let's see how long it takes our one as well. I'm confident none of these points deduction will happen this season, if there is any points deduction. It may potentially happen next season. ZMACK 1986, nothing will happen to City for the next 5 years. Pep will win another 4 Premier League titles. Once he leaves, they will get a relegation and back up the season thereafter. I don't know about relegation, but potentially they should get a heavy points deduction. Milo K, good to see you, my man. Bro, every club in the world breaks rules, so they should just stop it. If they did investigate everyone, there will be no Premier League. Yeah, but, I guess it comes down to how fair is the competition. You can't have certain clubs break the rules astronomically. You got to have some sort of, you can't allow, like say for instance, 115, breaches by Manchester City. Manchester City can't be allowed to get away with it that much, to be within the financial fair play, buy whoever they want to buy, give the wages like they give the wages. The competitive advantage goes away. Like they'll be so far ahead than everyone else because they're allowed to do whatever. Yeah, most clubs are doing some of these notorious things, no doubt, but I think we need to bring it in. We need to bring it in. Man City can't just be going out there and just doing a whole heap of fancy accountings. Similarly with Chelsea as well. Chelsea can't be doing that either. Everton might have. This is why they got done. But Everton probably didn't do it in the same level as us or City. But they got done. Do you know what I mean? So we're probably going to get done as well. Chelsea would prefer a points deduction this year. It's growing season. Would prefer a penalty during a growing season than a title challenge season. Now, that's a good point. But I'm just worried that if we somehow end up in European position, you got to understand, Brendan, we don't have European football. And we want to make it back into Europe. And right now it's going to be a struggle to make it back into Europe. If we get a points deduction, it's going to be even tougher. And there's no guarantee that we're going to make it to Europe next season. In the Premier League, there's no guarantee on anything. It's a tough league. So that's the way I'm thinking about it. Like, if somehow we make it into Europe this season, at least we've got European football next season, and then we'll see what we can do in Europe to be able to stay in those competitions. But yeah, I hear you as well. Like, I understand what you're trying to say. Iki. Miss, I just had a theory. What if Chelsea joining the Super League during Roman era was a way of indicating that there was crimes that would be found out? Then Roman sold the club in order to protect us. I don't know about Roman sold the club in order to protect us. Maybe. Look, Roman got forced. I don't think he would have sold the club if he didn't get forced. Roman got forced to sell the club because of the war between Russia and Ukraine, and then the UK government has found links with Roman and Putin, basically, and all his assets were seized, and he was forced to sell the football club. If all of that didn't happen, I don't think Roman would have sold the football club. I really don't think he would have. So, yeah, I don't know. Like, in a way, it's worked out. I think if Roman stayed, we would have got done hard. So, in a way, it kind of worked out. The new owners being able to come in has helped the situation big time. And this is where I'm hoping we don't get done too much. We are definitely going to get done to a certain degree, but I hope it's not too crazy. I just hope it's not too crazy. And I think this is what the new owners are trying to do. Trying to be open about this whole situation. Bobby Smokey signals the time it's taken Manchester City to respond to even one charge is very suspicious, and the fact they are not even suspended while the delay the process should be totally unacceptable. 100% agreed. 100% agreed. Why is that particular case lingering around for so long? It's been nearly 12 months since they've been hit with those breaches. Why isn't that case been finalized, as yet? What are they waiting for? When do you think Chelsea investigated will end and found out what's going to happen? Look, I think at the moment there's not even any serious investigations that's happening. I think the investigations will start very soon. I think the Premier League have lined up Chelsea to be the next club to be investigated. Obviously, they've imposed 10 points deduction on Everton. The Manchester City case is ongoing. I think the Premier League is now got zeroing in. I've got Chelsea locked in to be investigated next up. And already there's some leaked files and whatnot coming out that, these are some of the issues that we've had previously under the previous regime, and the owners, our current owners, are coming out openly and saying all of these things as well, hoping that we don't get imposed a massive fine or points deduction or whatever the case is, right? Mujtaba Don, 99% of the big businessmen aren't clean. It's just about who is investigated and who isn't. The big clubs get away. The smaller ones are punished. It's just the way of world. Yeah, unfortunately, that's true. That's true. That is true. I think this time around, Everton won't be quiet. Everton won't be quiet. And in the Premier League, yeah, there is still big and small clubs. Of course there is. But they're all very strong clubs, man. They all have a lot of money, right? So Everton won't let this get away. Like, Everton will have one eye on what's going on with Chelsea and Manchester City. They will not allow for this to just go under the carpet. Haj, I think some breaches are more obvious than others. Lowell sums up Roman and City probably too obvious to ignore. Also, City playing a delaying game. In quotes, we are being open, it seems. Yeah, and that's the one positive for us. That's the one positive for us. Milo, okay, but do I believe we have more of a leeway? Because if I was the new owners, why would you sell me a club when you know it was pending cases? but you sanction it safe to purchase, the owners should appeal. That's a good point as well. That's a very good point. But I don't think the Premier League did a thorough investigation on Chelsea's books. They just did a thorough investigation on the new owners, if they are fit and capable of owning a Premier League club. They looked at their finances. So when the new owners bought Chelsea, it's upon the new owners to ensure the company that they're buying, they make sure that there is no issues in their accounts. There is no gaps in their accounts. So it's on the new owners to ensure the club they're buying is clean. It's not on the Premier League to ensure are Chelsea clean. All they look is, are the new owners fit to be Premier League owners, basically. And they deemed the new owners to be fit, of course. But now this matter is something else. We're going to slowly wrap things up. Let's take some more comments. Nana is saying, Ms. Bowley and co have been one step ahead of the Prem since they came in, so I'm not too worried. They surely have contingencies and ways to avoid or counter the charges. I agree with this a lot. I agree. Our owners have exemplified how smart they are. They may not be so smart as yet when it comes to footballing matters, but when it comes to running a business, these guys are the top dogs, man. Look at all the loopholes our owners already established and taken advantage of. Longer contracts so that it can be amortized and expenses can be spread out. So, transfers of exorbitant amounts may look like small little packages over the term of the contract. And there have been other different loopholes that they found as well. They're trying to close those loopholes now, of course, but I believe your comment, Nana. Like, they're smart enough to have contingency plans around this. I think you're absolutely right. Nobody's, there were able sanctions. The club also, Abramovich, apart from the war, also had Chelsea and other English assets involved in the business. So to me, I think they would be able to counter the case. Fair enough. Mujtaba, if Chelsea gets points deduction, City should be relegated to divisions. They literally have 116 charges, while Chelsea only have a few allegations. Big difference. Look, few allegations now. We've not been investigated as yet fully. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, hope you got something out of this. And we are a little bit more informed about the whole situation. My belief is something will happen to us. I don't know to what magnitude, whether it's going to be points deduction, fines, transfer ban, but I have a feeling it may not happen this season, potentially next season. So let's see what happens, but something will happen. If you're sitting there thinking, all of this is just scaremongering and whatnot, you're fooling yourself, absolutely fooling yourself. Smash the like button before you go, ladies and gentlemen. If you're here for the first time, subscribe. Hit the bell notification to stay in touch with all my content. I might drop another video later on tonight, wrapping up the latest news. There's some news about other stuff, Chalobah, Buddy Shield, a whole heap of stuff. So I might cover all of that. Until next time, everyone, take care. See ya.